Hey everyone, welcome to Insights with Benny, a space where ideas meet action, where stories inspire reflection, and perspectives challenge the status quo. Whether you're here for clarity, challenge, or quiet wisdom, this is your place. Today's episode is titled Unseen by Choice. What if the world you see is just a reflection of what's going on inside you? And what if the faults you notice in others are actually parts of yourself that you've yet to face? As always, these are straight from the heart of Insight's blog. Let's begin. The world as a reflection. John is a lovely, warm-hearted fellow, effortlessly charming everyone around him. His laughter is contagious, and he easily forges friendships. But beneath his affable exterior lies a subtle contradiction. Whenever he's out with friends or colleagues, enjoying drinks and casual conversation, John's cheerful demeanor shifts the moment talk turns to industry achievements. He quickly dismisses others' successes, confidently asserting, without evidence, that the numbers are fabricated, the accolades undeserved, and the victories unearned. Ironically, these dismissive claims mirror John's own insecurities and hidden envy. Behind the scenes, he quietly alters figures, padding his performance reports to appear more successful than he truly is. His criticisms aren't based on fact. They are projections of the very behaviors he tries to conceal within himself. Projection. This curious mirror is our tendency to see our darkest traits reflected back at us in others. From tense social media debates to whispered conversations and political posturing, projection colors our interactions, often silently shaping our relationships and distorting our view of the world. A mirror we avoid. We like to think of ourselves as fair, self-aware individuals. But what if some of the ugliest things we accuse others of are shadows of our own actions or fears? What if the judgment we pass is not a lens into truth, but a mirror reflecting what we wish to disown? Consider Sarah, a finance officer at Alaris Global Solutions, a multinational consulting firm. She repeatedly raised alarms about a colleague she accused of financial misconduct, claiming to have spotted inconsistencies in procurement reports and warning of potential fraud. Her crusade for accountability became a constant drumbeat within the team, as she frequently demanded reviews, challenged expense claims, and created growing tension among her coworkers. But in a twist of irony, it eventually emerged that Sarah herself had been manipulating internal budgets, reclassifying personal expenses as project costs to evade scrutiny. The fraud she projected onto others was, in fact, her own. Sarah's action is psychological projection in action. It's when we cast our inner guilt onto others as a shield. Rather than confronting the discomfort within, we deflect it outward, pointing fingers to protect our fragile sense of self. It's not just common, it's a subtle form of survival. Projection offers a temporary refuge from shame, allowing us to preserve our self-image. Projection acts as a psychological barrier, a defense against truths too painful to face. The principle is simple. The more uncomfortable we are with something in ourselves, the more likely we are to see it in others. Think about it. A cheat believes everyone is cheating. That's not just a clever saying, it's a defense mechanism. By accusing others, we silence the inner voice of guilt and shift the spotlight away from our own failings. In Sarah's case, it was never truly about justice. It was about hiding in plain sight, projecting our worldview. Sometimes projection doesn't come from guilt. It comes from a warped belief that our actions are universally shared, that everyone thinks and behaves just like we do. This is the false consensus effect. It is what happens when someone excuses their faults by assuming the whole world is playing the same game. Take Nadia, for instance. She's been unfaithful in her relationship for a long time. When confronted by a close friend, she brushed it off with a chuckle. Come on, everyone cheats. It just depends on how you play the game. Just don't get caught. Nadia convinces herself that everyone around her behaves the same way, using this belief to normalize her choices. Why? Because admitting she had done something wrong would mean confronting the discomfort of being different. or worse, being judged. To avoid this, she extrapolates her behavior, inflating the sense of consensus to make her actions feel typical. The logic is simple. If everyone does it, then it must not be so bad. Assuming the world operates the way that we do feels safer, it shields us from guilt and gives us the illusion of belonging. And we don't stop there. We search for stories, articles, and even experts who echo our thinking. We point to television interviews, blog posts, trending social media videos, anything that supports our version of reality. In doing so, we manufacture legitimacy. We transform personal choices into perceived norms, not because they are right, but because they feel less lonely when imagined as part of the majority. Consider the person who evades taxes, yet insists, everybody does it. It's not just about deceit, it's about self-preservation. By assuming their behavior is universal, they shield themselves from scrutiny and protect against the isolating discomfort of being wrong. The false consensus effect disguises insecurity as confidence. It transforms personal flaws into presumed social or group norms. And much like projection, it distorts how we relate to others, dulling our emotional insight and deepening our cynicism. The image behind the mirror. We live in a world where our actions are constantly under judgment, by peers, by systems, and most of all, by the society. In such a world, appearances matter. We strive to look composed, competent, and morally upright. If we hold an opinion, we want it to be validated. If we make a choice, we want it to be seen as right. This is why we project. Every act of projection carries a reason, a silent motive that drives it. Not just misdirection, it is self-preservation. We project not because we are cruel, but because we are afraid. Not because we seek harm, but because we seek to hide. Behind every accusation, behind every pointed finger, lies a concealed fear. Guilt and shame we refuse to face. Deep insecurities whispering that we're not enough. A desperate attempt to preserve the image we want the world to see. Take, for instance, a mayor who constantly accuses his political opponents of scandal and moral failure. At every press conference, he ridicules their personal lives, raises questions about their character, and parades as the guardian of public virtue. But what the public doesn't see is this. Behind his outrage lies a tangled web of private misdeeds, broken relationships, hidden debts, and moral lapses that he dares not confront. For him, projection is not merely a tactic, it's a shield. By turning the spotlight outward, he keeps his own flaws in the dark. At its core, projection is a diversion. It casts our shadows onto others so we can remain comfortably unseen. The dangers beneath the accusations. Projection may begin as a quiet defense mechanism, but when left unchecked, it becomes a corrosive force, subtle, pervasive, and deeply damaging. When individuals constantly project their fears and faults onto others, relationships become strained. Trust erodes, replaced by suspicion and blame. Over time, the warmth of connection is replaced by defensiveness, making honest communication nearly impossible. In the workplace, projection can transform once collaborative environments into toxic battlegrounds. Teams fracture under the weight of veiled accusations, and morale suffers as people begin to second-guess each other's intentions. Creativity and cooperation give way to fear and territorialism. On a broader scale, unchecked projection reinforces stereotypes and fuels prejudice. When people assume their discomfort stems from others, rather than their own bias, conflicts escalate, communities fracture, and dialogue breaks down. Humanity, the lifeblood of genuine connection, begins to wither, gradually replaced by performative acts. Ultimately, projection erects barriers to growth and understanding. It distorts reality and disconnects us from the people around us. Without awareness, we don't just misjudge others, we lose the chance to truly see them. And in doing so, we also lose sight of ourselves. Recognizing the reflection. Can we recognize projection when it's happening? Not always. Intentions are often hidden, even from the people acting on them. Yet with careful attention, we can begin to sense when criticism comes from a place of genuine concern or from a deeper, more personal disquiet. Projection tends to wear a few familiar masks. It may appear as persistent accusations made without credible evidence, where the urgency seems to outweigh the facts. It often reveals itself in sudden, irrational emotional outbursts over seemingly minor issues. Overreactions that hint at a deeper wound beneath the surface. And perhaps most telling, it shows up when someone's behavior starkly contradicts their accusations. When the loudest voices against dishonesty, for instance, are quietly bending truths of their own. As a gentle compass for the soul, when the heart stirs like thunder, racing in anger at someone else's supposed faults, pause. Take it as a signal. Ask not just what they've done, but what within you is being stirred. Because what we refuse to face within will find a way to shape the world around us, and will mistake its echo for truth. Recognizing projection starts with cultivating mindfulness and emotional clarity. It means being honest about our biases before they bend our perception. It means being open to feedback from people we trust, friends, colleagues who can gently reveal blind spots, or even strangers. It means taking time to look inward, to ask the uncomfortable questions, and to face the insecurities we've buried beneath years of defense and justification. Each conscious step towards self-awareness clears the fog, and as the mirror begins to shine again, what we see might surprise us, not just our flaws, but our capacity for growth, connection, and truth. Toward the courage of clarity. Projection is the mind's way of outsourcing discomfort. It transfers our hidden fears, shame, or flaws onto others, shielding us from painful self-confrontation. While it may offer temporary relief, it distorts reality, erodes trust, and disconnects us from both ourselves and those around us. But recognizing projection is profoundly liberating. It's not just an act of self-awareness, it's a path to freedom. When we acknowledge our projections, we begin to untangle the stories we've told ourselves. We stop confusing judgment for truth. We create room for emotional insight. We allow genuine connection to flourish, and we open channels for honest conversations. The journey from projection to authenticity isn't just self-improvement. It is transformative liberation. As we clean our mirrors, as we wipe away the fog of defensiveness, we begin to see others clearly. More importantly, we begin to see ourselves, our hopes, our hurts, our humanity. Let us then choose courage. Let us bravely gaze into the mirror, not to project our shadows onto others, but to reflect with grace and honesty. Not to hide, but to be seen. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share them on social and tag me with #UnseenByChoice. Please like, share, and help spread the message. Until next time, stay reflective.